Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. I'm Joe Chaffee. Joe Rayo is on my left, and the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by, well, okay. We're starting this again. Hold on a second. uh, let's see. I rebooted my computer,
Somebody,
Joe.
somebody turned off the lights.
I'll turn the lights back on here. 1 second. There we go. Now the lights are back on. Hello there. Now let's try it again. You gotta love technology, Joe. Technology. The Joe and Joe Weather Show is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. Probably Long Island's largest supplier of mulch. And they've got everything you need to make your yard look great this spring. Once we get through the nasty weather, you can call your landscaper or go there yourself. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon on Long Island. 631-756-1125 is the website. So bring your dump truck and your front loader, or you can get more information by going to omnitruevalue.com. All right, so here we are. We are 24 hours later from yesterday and 24 hours before whatever's going to happen late tomorrow night. I stand by what I've been saying for 2 days, 1,500 feet or higher. And actually, it looks like everything's kind of shifted a little bit further to the east now. So it might be more like western and northern New England getting some snow, wet snow out of this and accumulating snow. And places to the west in upstate New York down to about the Catskills going to wind up getting less than some of the models were advertising. And, Joe, we talked about the NAM model yesterday, showing that vigorous upper low going by further south. That turned out, I guess, to be a model run hiccup because didn't see any kind of confirmation today that was going to be correct.
And Joe, you mentioned 1,500 feet, and here in the immediate New York metropolitan area on the NAM Foose this afternoon, they had the coldest boundary level temperature was a +3, and that's much too warm if you're hoping for any kind of significant snowfall in the immediate New York area. +3, that's at the T1 level. The T1 level. Now we talk about this often enough, and many people saying, so what the heck are they talking about? The T1 is for the lowest 35 millibars of the atmosphere. In other words, anywhere from 965 to 1,000 millibars, or if you will, up to approximately 1,300 or 1,400 feet. So it's people were joking in the last couple of days about, well, maybe we ought to go to the top of the Empire State Building. That's not going to help, especially when there's a +3 on the T1. Now T2,
you're going to need 3 Empire State Buildings probably.
Well, at T2, it's 0, and that is cold enough for snow. Unfortunately, at 900 millibars, we're talking about an altitude of generally around 3,500 feet. So you're going to have to go, you're right, probably 3 Empire State Buildings to get up close to that level to see any significant snowfall.
Quick, do we have time to build
the
one?
Middle? I don't think so. The middle and upper layers, the T2 and the T3 levels, they're certainly cold enough. As we've been saying, it's from the top down, so to speak. And unfortunately, by the time it gets down close to the surface, we kind of run out of cold air, enough cold air for you to get excited about any prospective snowfall. Now, on the other hand, if you go into, let's say, parts of the Berkshires, and especially so up across the Green Mountains of Vermont, we may be very well talking about amounts of anywhere from 8 to 10 or maybe 8 to 12 inches. I suppose that's great for skiers. This is certainly as good a spring skiing situation as you can possibly ask for, although I'm not sure how many of the ski runs up in Vermont are wide open with the pandemic. But if you want to see a lot of snow, that's where you should be heading. Get in your car, travel on 95 where it connects with 91, go north on 91, and once you get past Springfield in Massachusetts, you will start seeing with increasing frequency beginning later tomorrow night and early Friday, the white stuff. And again, once you cross over from Massachusetts into Vermont, I do hope you have your snow shovel because you're going to need it. Joe?
Yeah. Now, as far as rain is concerned, I'm thinking the heaviest rain is going to probably, if you draw a line across northern New Jersey to about New York City, from there north and east, probably going to wind up maybe with an inch or an inch plus. Some places could finish up with about an inch and a half, but go south and west of there. Again, this is all due to how the upper low is tracking and where the surface low is going to be and pivoting around to the northwest. Go south and west of there, and the rain is going to thin out quite a bit. So, if you're looking for a significant rainfall, you got to go. It's going to be more to the northeast because that's where really all the action is.
Right, absolutely. It looks like for let's say the from New York on north through the Hudson Valley, we might be looking at upwards to an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter of rain, especially so tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. When we come back here tomorrow night, we're going to be thoroughly basted, so to speak, because we're going to have some significant rainfall that will have fallen during the course of the midday and afternoon hours tomorrow.
And after that, because of how things are playing out, maybe some very, very slow, limited improvement on Friday. I'm thinking the weekend, I don't know, the weekend may not turn out too bad. I was thinking Saturday will probably be the better of the 2 weekend days.
Yeah, Sunday, it looks like there may be some moisture coming back in by about the midday and afternoon hours, which is kind of surprising. I would have thought that if we did see any wet weather on Sunday, we probably could hold it off until maybe very late in the day. But some of the models are a little bit more robust in moving that moisture in maybe as early as the middle part of Sunday. So, yeah, Saturday may be the lone bright spot in the upcoming weekend.
Yeah, that's a tough call for Sunday. It's been kind of going back and forth on whether there will be showers or won't be showers, but let's see if we can figure all of this out. Got the watches and warnings up, but we actually do have some winter storm watches up for a few counties in western Massachusetts, southern Vermont, and a good chunk of New Hampshire, and I guess that's northwestern Maine. Though these are the first winter storm watches, there'll probably be a few more, or maybe when this all gets underway, you'll have some spotty warnings in a few counties, and then you'll have the surrounding counties go to a winter weather advisory. But all the action's really going to be north and northeast with this. And out in the west, we've got winter weather advisories up for eastern Wyoming. There are also some winter storm warnings up for central Wyoming. A few winter storm watches in western Nebraska and northwest Kansas, and in a couple of counties in Colorado. Probably going to see the snow area expand here a little bit too, and some maybe additional winter weather advisories, and possibly even a couple of winter storm warnings will pop up for parts of Colorado with the next low that's coming out of the west. Meanwhile, we have a working severe thunderstorm watch along the coastal bend of Texas between Corpus Christi and Houston. Flash flood watches for the southern half of Louisiana and also southernmost Mississippi and the counties surrounding southernmost Alabama or in and around Mobile to the Florida state line. And we still have red flag warnings up for very dry conditions in the western half of New Mexico, eastern and northern Arizona, southern Utah, and southwestern Colorado. The rest of the nation, though, Joe, looks to be pretty much on the quiet side.
Yes, indeed, it certainly does. And the Mets are going to be heading to Colorado after they finish their series with the Phillies tomorrow. And I'm kind of scratching my head and wondering whether or not they're going to even be able to play one game, much less, a 3-game series out in Denver with the way the temperatures are going to be running and also with the aftermath of the latest winter storm that's hitting out there. So it'll be interesting to see what the Mets have already had, I think, something like 5 rainouts or 5 weather-related postponements. So they really don't need any more, but it looks like they may be running into yet another round of that once they leave New York. And of course, tomorrow, Joe, they're scheduled to play a game tomorrow at Citi Field at noontime. I don't think so. I really do not think that they're going to have a chance to play that game tomorrow either. So
no, but there's a chance.
The weather has not
there's
been on
a
the Mets'
chance to
side.
get the parking lot money.
Oh yeah. I'm sure they'll probably wait until 12. It's an early game because the Mets have to get out early to get to Denver. But it'll be interesting. 12 noon is when the game is supposed to start. If they did the right thing, they would call the game in the morning tomorrow or even late tonight. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The way these MLB teams like to play it, they like to see how many they can get into the parking lot and into the ballpark to consume hot dogs, hamburgers, and whatever.
What do they charge?
And then finally say,
what do they
I don't
bang
know.
for parking
It's been a while.
these days?
I have not been to a ball game in 2 or 3 years. I could tell you once I took, and this goes way back. This goes over 20 years ago when they were charging to park at Shea Stadium $10. But it was a playoff game. In fact, it was the game where the Mets beat the Cardinals and won the National League pennant. I was there with my sister. Get into the parking lot, and the guy in the booth says $20, double the cost. I said, double the cost? What are you, crazy? I said, what are you going to charge when they get into the World Series?
Yeah.
So I don't even know how much it costs now to get a parking space at Citi Field or Yankee Stadium. But they have to grab as much as they can because the millionaires that are on the field playing the game need to be subsidized.
Yeah. Keith James II says 20 for parking. Rick B says $20. Charlie Baker says $20 for Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Phillies. $8 for a bottle of water. Okay.
Oh God.
Yeah, I think you can't bring your own. $30 at Yankee Stadium. It's just
$30 for a parking space.
Yeah, that's just crazy. That's just nuts.
Oh.
Well, let's look at the snow map, and as you pointed out, some places up in New England are going to wind up with some heavy snows there. There's a 12 print. I got to think that's got to be, I don't know if that's Mount Washington there on the 12 print in north central New Hampshire. But there's every bit of 3, 4, 5 inch amounts being generated in western Massachusetts on up through the Green Mountains in southern Vermont. And moving northeast from there. Interestingly, how this has actually been slowly kind of shifting eastward as the models have been adjusting through all of this. So now the amounts in the Hudson Valley, in the middle and upper Hudson Valley and points north are minimal. I think we had a 4 or 5 print at Hunter Mountain yesterday. Now we only have a 2. I don't know what that point is up in the Adirondacks, but I'm sure that's a high elevation point where they have a 10 print there. But everybody else, just a lot of 1s on the map. And the southern extent of this, by the way, just gets into northwestern Connecticut barely. I mean, you really do have to go well north of Route 84 to see anything. And again, you're going to want some elevation to drive all of this. And in terms of let's just take a look at least at the rain with this, because there are areas up in upstate New York in particular that can really use a good soaking here. And the rainfall amounts, again, you go south and west of New York City, not very much. Some amounts in a lot of spots, particularly in eastern Pennsylvania, less than 1/4 of an inch, and in some places in southeast and south central Pennsylvania, less than 1/10 of an inch. Meanwhile, there's a 1.04 print for LaGuardia and a 2.16 print for Bridgeport. So now you're starting to see up the Hudson Valley, 1 to 2 inch, let's say on average about 1.5 inches. And then the 1 inch line goes west to not quite to Syracuse. But New England gets into it, particularly central and southern New England and southeastern New England, every bit of 1.5 inches. Some places across Massachusetts getting just under 2 inches of liquid. So that really, where you see these big rainfall amounts, that's where you get that precip intensity, you're getting some vertical motion. And again, if you have the elevation there, you're probably going to see some effective dynamic cooling. So those are the areas that probably have the best chances to see any kind of accumulating snow out of this.
Yep, and as you just pointed out at the onset of the show, 1,500 feet, and that seems about right. That if you look at the NAM numbers now, Albany, for example, at T1, anywhere from ground level to about 1,300 feet, that the temperatures seem to be just about there for accumulating snow. If it does accumulate to any degree in the Albany area, it would have to be mostly on colder surfaces, probably car tops, grassy surfaces, tree limbs and branches. But you really don't have to go too high, too much farther up above sea level to really start see things start to accumulate. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure Timothy Veltman will say it or mention it on the chat board. What, Joe, are those mountains, those nearby mountains in the Albany area that they sometimes make reference to in
Oh God,
cases like this?
I forgot.
I
I just totally forgot.
I used to remember, I
My
used to listen to I used to listen to WGY many years ago when I was a young nipper, and used to enjoy listening to the forecasts. There you go. I know it. Thanks, Tim. The Heidelberg Mountains. Yeah, and they would often make reference to in situations like this. Well, not much snow in the Albany area, the capital district, but if you head up toward the Heidelberg Mountains, you'll see significant accumulations, and they're probably going to be in line for that come tomorrow night and on Friday.
Some juicy snow amounts out in the west. Denver has a 4 print, but north and west of Denver, as you get into the higher terrain, there are some prints of a foot plus. There's even an 18 print. I'm not sure exactly what spot that is in west of Denver, but also seeing some amounts in the 5, 6, 7 inch range in northwest Kansas, western Nebraska, and then moving into southeastern Wyoming and northeastern Colorado. So the system in the west certainly looks potent enough to be productive snow-wise. And typically, by the way, April's one of the actually, if you look at Denver statistics and the stats of a lot of the cities out here in this part of the country, the normal snowfalls for March and April are actually higher than they are for January and February because of the fact that the storms in the spring tend to be able to tap more trapped cold air. Usually in the wintertime, the storm tracks wind up being further south and they're deeper into the cold air. Of course, they certainly have seen their fair share of snow this winter in this part of the country, in the central Rockies. The West Coast not seeing very much at all. WPC on their rainfall amount for the next 7 days is pretty much bone dry with minimal exceptions from the state of Washington all the way down through California and into southern Arizona. You could see the trail of moisture from Kansas northwest into Colorado, western Nebraska, Wyoming. Liquid melted precip on the order of half an inch to about an inch and a quarter, inch and a half in some spots. In the Gulf states, with everything going on off the East Coast, of course, this is suppressing everything south. So you're seeing some heavier rains across the lower portion of the Gulf states on the order of an inch and a half to some 3 inch amounts. And in northern and central Florida, draw a line, say, from Tampa to just north of Daytona and go north of there, and you're looking at 3, 4, 5 inch rainfall amounts over the next 7 days. And the inch and a half line actually goes further south down almost to Fort Myers and Palm Beach. So the frontal boundaries are going to set up where they set up. And when you've got a storm off the East Coast like this, you're going to set up further south than they otherwise would. That is also going to be limiting severe weather. So tonight, the Storm Prediction Center has a working severe thunderstorm watch as of 7:50 Eastern time. Actually has 2 severe thunderstorm watches along the coastal bend of Texas. They seem to have just issued, wait, I don't want to, no, actually they issued it a little while ago, but I'm just updating the map here. And there's a second, okay, now on this one, on the update, that watch is gone. So I guess that must have been something from earlier. They extended what they had. But bottom line is there's one working watch as we said, along the coastal bend of Texas. And the risk areas for overnight include an area in northern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia, and that's part of that developing low. And then we have slight risk from that coastal bend to southeast Louisiana, marginal risk extending a little bit further to the east. Looking ahead to tomorrow, again, it's all along the lower Gulf Coast where we have a marginal risk that extends from northern Florida westward, pretty much riding along in south of I-10 into Texas, where the marginal risk area is a bit bigger, and on to day 3, which is the time frame for Friday into Saturday. No severe weather being indicated at the moment, just an area of general thunderstorms in pretty much the same place. And in the day 4 to 8 time frame, we have potential too low on day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and day 8. So quiet times overall in general. So at least no wide localized minor outbreaks, yes. Widespread outbreaks, no.
Yeah, well, that's the one good point about having an unseasonably chilly or cold air mass is that you really need to work the atmosphere to get any kind of convection, especially in terms of severe weather. So for the moment, at least for the next several days, Joe, as you just pointed out, it looks like it won't be much of a problem in terms of possible severe thunderstorms or tornadoes or
Whoops. Are you there,
not.
Joe? Oh, lost you there.
It,
Lost you
yeah,
there for a
I'm here.
second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just
Oh,
lost you for a
no,
second.
I'm here.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. All right.
Clouds have finally rolled. How much sun did you get today?
It started out as I said to myself, boy, it's really nice, bright and sunny and warm. I don't know what our high temperature was locally, but it was probably close to 70. And then all about 2 or 3 o'clock, it slowly but surely started getting grayer and cloudier, and we finished out the day on just a, bleh, kind of a sky. So we did get some bright intervals, especially early in the day, but now I guess the curtain has rung down, and now we're ready for the spell of unsettled and wet weather for tomorrow into Friday.
All right, so 2 upper lows on the map, and the first one over the Great Lakes. And actually, there's more than that. You still have this spinning storm that's been wavering back and forth between just south of Newfoundland and just south of Nova Scotia, and still sitting out there. You have the upper low in the Great Lakes that's about to make its move because the Nova Scotia low is going to finally start moving to the east. And then a new cutoff that has formed out in the west, and that is going to be responsible for the snows in Colorado and Wyoming. And now we're seeing this stream of subtropical moisture coming in from the Pacific and stretching across Texas. So you see where the blowup of the cloud tops are over Louisiana and Texas, where they're seeing some thunderstorms and some heavy rains. And again, some of that cloud cover now starting to increase here in the northeast. When you look at the satellite at the moment, it's all kind of disjointed because the jet with the moisture is still, there's distinct separation between that and the upper low that's over the Great Lakes. So they still haven't really, kind of connected together here. But the problem in terms of the forecast is the fact that all of this seems to be happening too late and not enough for the areas west and south of New York City, just from the standpoint of rain, never mind snow, but certainly taking out the possibility of snow out of the forecast for places like the northeast PA and the Poconos, and maybe even in some of the higher elevations in northwest New Jersey. That's now off the table and probably minimized to an extent in the central and northern Catskills. So obviously, with everything happening a little bit further to the east, you're going to have lesser amounts as you go on to the southwest. The radar showing rain building in West Virginia, across Maryland, right along the state line with Pennsylvania. Some light rain into parts of Delaware. Some of this is probably aloft, also into southern New Jersey. Most of that for now is sliding to the east. And then you can see the heavier rains that are down along the Gulf Coast, particularly in southeast Louisiana. Not seeing any convection yet from the where the severe thunderstorm watch is along the coastal bend of Texas. That'll probably come later on tonight. And in the meantime, we're seeing some precip moving across Oklahoma, moving eastward, and also up in Wyoming to Colorado, back through Utah and southern Idaho. Again, that's that new upper low that is moving east. So let's just take a look at the new GFS from late this afternoon. And we can watch this surface low goes out east off the Virginia coast tomorrow morning. There's a little bit of rain around, but not a whole lot that occurs during the overnight. But it's during the day tomorrow that the low begins to pivot and respond to the upper low. And this is where you start to see some of the heavier rains getting generated. And by Thursday evening, some of the blue starts appearing in upstate New York and over Vermont, New Hampshire. But, you know, Joe, the low, it never really gets very deep. It's a 995 low. I mean, it deepens about 5 millibars, maybe gets down to a 92 low Friday morning when it's sitting near Nantucket. But, you know, I'm just looking at the overall structure of this. It's elongated northeast, southwest. The area of precip is very narrow. You know, you've got the western edge of precip Friday morning at about New York City, and the eastern edge of precip is in southern Maine. I mean, this is sort of like, you know, a very narrow rectangle of precip that's going on.
And, you know, the thing is, Joe, that what we've been talking about the last couple of days with that low, we said if you wanted snow, if you really wanted to see it, dynamics were going to be the key, the possible explosive deepening, perhaps. But as you just pointed out, it's now looking more and more like that's not going to happen. It will deepen, but it's not going to deepen all that fast,
Right.
or quite as fast. And so, so much for the hope, I guess, that all of you snow lovers had of seeing a sweep of snowy weather in the immediate tri-state area. It'd be a big surprise. You know, it would be a big surprise if that were to happen. But aside from maybe a few stray flakes mixing in with the rain, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing anything like that, at least in the immediate New York area or Long Island. And as you head up into the Hudson Valley, yeah, especially with elevation, you may see you know, some of those big wet flakes mixing in with the rain. But again, you really have to go well north and northeast, up again toward the Berkshires and the Green Mountains, if you really want to see a lot of late season snow.
And also the low in the west in northern New Mexico is the driver for the snows in Colorado and Wyoming, and that continues into Friday morning, actually even into Friday afternoon before that area moves to the east. In the meantime, Joe, our surface low is just kind of spinning away in eastern Massachusetts and over Rhode Island. The pressure during the day on Friday actually rises about 7 millibars. So the storm reaches its peak intensity Friday morning, maybe even some, you know, maybe a little bit of wind action in southeastern New England with this because of how tight the low is. But then, of course, it just sort of fills and then swings around to the east. That's the other thing that bothered me about this is, you know, if we were sitting here and we were looking at a low that was going to deepen, say, to a 984 low or a 987-ish low off the New Jersey coast, I think we would be having a different conversation. But for whatever reason, and maybe it's because of the structure of the upper air is not quite, you know, it's kind of stretched out rather than being compact, that you're not getting the kind of pressure falls that you would normally see in a situation like this. Yeah, this is, you know, and I'm even wondering too in those places in New England. I mean, I understand the elevation there is going to be a much bigger deal, and I get that. But, you know, if the low deepens down to a 990 the way it's indicated, yeah, those mountains, some of those elevated areas will do quite well. I don't think but in terms of having like a whole huge area wide snowfall, even over New England, I'm thinking that there's going to be some places up there that the snow lovers are going to wind up being disappointed. Some places may surprise to the upside, but I think some places are going to wind up being disappointed. And then after that goes
It's
out,
just like,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
It's just like what Ralph Cramden said in that episode when he thought he was going to inherit $40 million. Some people are never satisfied.
Yes, exactly. My fortune. All right, so here we go.
By the way, Joe, I hate to tell you this. If you've been showing or switching maps, I didn't say anything for a few minutes, but we have been stuck on the national radar. It's not even moving now for the
Oh,
last several minutes.
oh no, my screen is fine. My live
Hmm.
screen has the exact map I'm working with. So I don't know. Is that just you?
Well, I'm going to see if my screen got stuck or something. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what happened, but on my YouTube, I've been having problems with YouTube lately. I've it just stayed on the same image, but I bowed out. Now I bowed back in again, and
And
now
it's
I
all
see
right.
what you're showing.
Okay.
You're showing
All
the
right.
GFS. Yeah.
So improving Saturday, I think that's fair. And you can see there's like some kind of little trough here for Sunday that showers pop up and scattered around upstate New York and Pennsylvania. On this run, not really showing very much going into Monday evening. I mean, there are a few showers around scattered, but nothing crazy. And then as we move into next week, looks like another cold front approaches along about Tuesday night, and the GFS doesn't do too much with this. Does produce some action for maybe a little bit of severe weather for northern Florida. We'll see if that winds up playing according to plan. And then it looks kind of chilly for later next week for a couple of days as a high comes down from the north and just rolling. Going to look at the upper air to see what's happening here. Now we're into Saturday, April 24th, and that weekend, and of course, the model's developing some kind of storm in northeast Texas that rides up the east side of the Appalachians, and we suddenly have a 990 something low with heavy rains here for Saturday into Sunday, the weekend of the 24th to the 25th, and then it's chilly and dry behind it. So why don't we resolve this mystery and see what's going on in the upper layers of the atmosphere. Oh, brother. By the way, while this map is loading, just speaking because you brought the honeymooners up, I saw somebody mention the fact that Channel 11 has decided not to run them anymore. Is that true?
They used to be on Saturday nights between 11 and midnight, and they've done this now for several years. And just a couple of weeks ago, yeah, they've now dropped the honeymooners and have replaced them with Seinfeld reruns. So now, 7 nights a week between 11 and midnight, you can watch Seinfeld. But they did say, somebody said on the honeymooners Facebook page that they complained to somebody in the corporate hierarchy of Channel 11, and they said we just want to rest them for a little while. It's reminiscent of what Channel 5 used to do with I Love Lucy, although I have not seen I Love Lucy on Channel 5 now for a good number of years. But there's only so many times you could run the same 39 episodes. So I understand. By the way, if you want to see the honeymooners, they're on MeTV on Sunday nights.
It's on fire. Hang on, Joe. Just briefly took a signal hit here. Okay, sorry about that, folks. So I downloaded Pluto TV, and they have all sorts of TV shows. You name it, they got it. But some old TV shows. Some of them are more familiar than others. But they run every episode of Dark Shadows back to back, every half hour, non-stop. So the thing is, I'm not a binge watcher, so I actually sat and watched a couple of episodes last night. It was like episode number 490 or something, or 491. And then, of course, this morning, all of a sudden, they're up to episode 524. So it's just like I missed 30 episodes somewhere in there. But Pluto TV, for those of you who don't have it, it's free. If you like old TV shows, the Beverly Hillbillies are on there. There's a bunch of other shows on there. Okay, never mind about that now. Let's go look at the upper air on the GFS. And, the upper low, Joe, I mean, the upper low tracks from the Great Lakes almost straight east to just north of New York City. And we just do not get snows in areas down into, say, the coastal areas of the I-95 corridor, just to bring that up, with upper lows that take tracks like this. Fine and dandy for New England, but not for, especially for this time of year. I mean, you got to have everything perfect as it is. So that moves out. And of course, one of the things I did notice in running this backwards is that while the block is breaking down, it's being replaced by a strong vortex in Hudson Bay. And all that does, Joe, is basically shoot trough after trough into the eastern part of the United States for the next 10 days to 2 weeks. It finally shows some signs of pulling out late in the forecast period, but when you're looking at an upper air, you'll see it on your monitor in a moment. This is on day 10. This is something in January that you'd be jumping up and down with. Straight flow that comes out of the Arctic and goes all the way down. The base of the jet is in southern Georgia, northern Florida, and then it's kind of a broad trough. You won't get big storms out of this, but this is not a springtime pattern by any stretch of the imagination. This is a very chilly looking pattern overall.
You'd be licking your chops in January over this.
Yeah, exactly. And
We always say that. We always say that, don't we? When we're in January and nothing is happening, we always say, "You watch. April or May, we'll see the pattern that we want."
You're in January. You're in January, and the ridge is in the east.
Right.
And the Arctic was
exactly.
And the Arctic is completely shut off. Makes total sense. But you do. In those rare years, it does line up where you get a good winter weather pattern that lasts for many, many weeks. But it just doesn't happen in most winters. It only happens on occasion. And Rick B, the Pacific, you're correct. The Pacific south of Alaska, lows are blocked, and they just basically are going around in a circle. So the Pacific now becomes the issue in terms of what's going on, because that allows a ridge to build up in the west, and it keeps the trough busy in the eastern part of the United States. So yeah, there's no block. I guess the good news about that is that weather systems get to move along, but the problem is that weather systems get to move along, and some of those are going to be able to pull up some moisture. So maybe you squeeze out a nice day or two before a cold front goes by or some kind of low develops and goes by. So it's a very frustrating time of year for sure, because I think everybody would just like to get on with some nice warm weather and sunshine, and we did that last week for 4 days. So
Right.
that's not coming back anytime soon. Oh well.
Although today was, up until about 2 or 3 o'clock, at least where I was, it was a reasonably nice day. And again, I have not looked at the maybe Renata, if she's still on the chat board, maybe she can look at the thermometer and see what our weather station indicated for a high temperature at Rancho Rayo today up in Putnam County. I think we were pretty close to 70. It certainly felt that way
A few people said it got.
mid-afternoon.
A few people said said that their temperatures got near the 70-degree mark, and that's the one upside this time of year. If you can get enough sun, and if you don't have a bad wind, your temperature is going to reflexively want to go up towards 70 fairly quickly, and that's kind of what happened today. So let's do a little bit of Briller Jeopardy, shall we? Surely.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Joe, the category today is body parts. Body parts. Okay. And you are to name the 10 body parts that contain just 3 letters.
Okay. Can we start with toe?
Toe is correct. That's number 5 on the list.
Okay, number 5. I mean, are they in order of merit? Or
no. I mean, there's no merit to a toe. So.
Okay. So how about eye?
The eye, yes, that is there.
Okay. So let's see. That's 2 out of 10. I guess 3 strikes and I'm out, right? So.
Yes.
Body parts with 3 letters. Sheesh. I think I got the 2 easiest ones. Nose, no. That's ear.
That is correct.
Another one.
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Knee. What has 3 letters? Now you're thinking about all parts of your body and in your mouth or whatever.
Shall I help
you?
Very good. The gum, yes. That was one I thought you might not get, because that's not obvious.
Yeah.
I'm hearing Macy's in the background.
don't. The arm.
Yes, the arm.
ARM. RARM.
Yes.
It's not Macy's. Macy's is right here.
Oh,
And
okay,
what she's
good.
doing is she's like pointing. She's pointing to various parts of the body.
It just occurred. Never mind. I'm going to keep my mouth shut because what just crossed my mind could get me into trouble. But go on.
What leg? The
leg. Yes.
The leg. She's pointing to, like, moving pieces of her, going like that. And, what you're hearing in the background is our show on 7 second delay.
Yes.
What else can I? What else? What else is
all
there?
right, so let me help you along.
Leg,
yes.
gum, ear, eye. Yeah, help me.
Okay. Atoms.
Apple.
No. Try again. Atoms.
What are you going like this for? The jaw? The jaw.
The jaw, but I'm not.
Jaw.
Jaw is correct, but atoms.
He's saying atoms. What is a 3-letter thing with atoms?
Adam's apple.
I said atoms.
A Katharine Hepburn Spencer.
Well, that's not 3 letters.
A Katharine Hepburn Spencer Tracy movie. Atoms.
Well, you're better at the movies than I am, Joe.
Okay.
I'm drawing
what did God, in one of those passive aggressive moments, take from Adam in order to make Eve?
Hip.
He did not take his hip.
Rib.
Yes, hip is correct, but yes, he took the rib. So rib is what I was going for. So the only one is left that you did not hit, that you didn't get on this list, is I will just say I'm going to give you a flat. Joseph?
I could stand here all night long.
Yes, I'm going to give you. I'm so angry at you. I'm going to take my fist and I'm going to give you a flat.
Sorry, Joe.
Lip.
Drawing a blank.
Lip.
Oh.
A flat lip.
Oh.
By the way, the average person usually gets 9 out of 10. So I would say you were probably the average person.
Or thereabouts.
Or thereabouts. All right, let's wrap up the show tonight. So back tomorrow at the same bat time, same bat channel.
We'll be here.
Awesome. Folks, thanks for being here tonight. Most appreciated here on this 14th of April. Tomorrow is not tax day, just a reminder. I mean, you could certainly file your taxes tomorrow if you'd like, but they're not due till May 17th. So just a reminder, you don't have to get it done. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up because I already got mine done a long time ago.
Oh, well, of course, Joe. Yours and your mom's.
Merkro says, Sister Rosemarie of St. Cyril and Methodist would be proud. But what would Sister Charles Edwards?
Charles Edwards.
I'm gonna
have to get my friend in.
I still say that Sister Charles Edwards and Douglas Edwards of CBS News were one and the same person. I mean, you never saw the two of them in the same place. None by day,
true.
News broadcaster by night.
Well, Douglas Edwards was really a mild-mannered news anchor, and Sister Charles Edwards was anything but mild-mannered, I can assure you.
No, Sister Charles Edwards would have appreciated my hint to you about making a fist and giving you a flat lip. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Bless her heart. Oh, good Lord. All right, everybody. Thanks again for being here tonight. We'll see what the snows bring for tomorrow in New England, if they bring anything much at all. And we will be back at 7:30 Eastern Time. So be sure to be here. Okay? Night-night.
Nighty-nights.